The following podcast is one in a series that my wife and I produced with the Armed Forces Network, or AFN, when our family was stationed in Daegu, Korea between 2009 and 2012. I have posted the series on the website toolsfortrenches.net only for the convenience of listeners. This does not necessarily reflect any endorsement of toolsfortrenches.net by AFN or vice versa.
That is One Republic with Good Life. It's 9/11. You're listening to AFN Daegu, the Eagle. Happy Tuesday. And it's Tuesday, which means it's Chaplain's Corner with Chaplain Dillard and his lovely wife, Lauren. Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. Welcome, welcome. As always, love to have you in the studio and talking about just stuff that's going on in the community. You know, stuff that, might just pop up, whether it's PCS season or, just summertime blues, monsoon blues. We talk about all sorts of things on this little program here. And, last week we talked about, what happens when other people might not understand why you're in the military and how that feels when people don't really understand you. And I think this week that what we'd like to talk about is how sometimes, even though we're in the military here, how you can feel like it's sort of intruding on your own life.
Yes.
And your response to that.
Yeah. A good example of that is right now at the commissary parking lot here on Walker. We've got this big honking drash tent.
Yes.
This enormous brown thing that is very important to our training. We're here in Korea to train, prepare for war,
right,
if that were to ever happen. But it can feel intrusive to some folks. It's called a drash tent.
Yeah.
It stands for dropped right at somebody's handicap spot. No,
I did not know that.
I'm kidding. It is not on any handicap spots. In fact, we drove down this morning to check.
I love that I absolutely believed you, like hands down.
Because it's the chaplain.
Yeah, exactly. I believed you. Anyway, just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, it's covering a third of the commissary parking lot.
Yeah.
Because that's where it needs to be. It just makes sense for the mission. But things like that feel intrusive or...
Right. And you had to go in early one day to help set it up.
Yeah. And that's all part of the mission too.
Right.
But those kinds of little surprises to the community can feel intrusive.
Right.
That you just found out you got CQ on a Saturday, which kills your Sunday.
Yeah.
And then you got to go back to work on Monday. Or you got pulled into an exercise that's not really your unit, but you got a special MOS and it pulls you in, and you had plans with your friends or your family, and so maybe it's a good thing to talk about right now.
Yeah. And I think too that it's okay to feel, this is going to sound interesting, weird, I guess I should say, is that sometimes, people can be angry. They're like, yeah, I'm in the military and I love it and the mission is first, but, darn it, I want my own time. I want my life not to feel like it's being, stepped on in these ways.
Well, especially with summer coming up, because people feel a little bit more relaxed to plan more trips and things like that.
Yeah.
And it rains here, so things get canceled. I had a friend who just had to cancel all of her trips to the States, and then they decided to plan something here, and now they had to cancel that because the week that they were planning it was raining where they were going.
Right.
So it's just those things happen too. And then you've got the schedule of the military being a little bit more fluid when it gets closer to other things or when they're planning, and so like you said, you get kind of sucked in here and there to stuff, and then the wife and the kids have to go on the planned trip by themselves.
Exactly.
Something like that. And then they become mad at the military.
And it is okay to feel angry. It is okay to feel a little depressed or confused for several reasons. One, that's when your commitment and love for your family and your military mission can really show. Because if you can be mad or a little depressed or confused and still show up to work and still come home and make the most of your situation, that's the greater expression of love.
Right.
If I got to suck it up and pretend that I have no conflict with this, I'm a little robotic. But if I can be professional and come in still a little bit ticked off, but enjoy the people who are there and do what I can, not bring it home in bitterness to my wife. Those are great opportunities to.
Yeah.
But you need to have the freedom to be able to come and talk to me about it.
Right.
Oh,
that's sort of what I'm saying. Like it's okay to feel those things and be able to express to other people, hey, this is frustrating me a lot.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of times you find out who your real friends are if you can bring those frustrations and they'll listen.
Right. And we talked about last week that sometimes it's hard when you're talking to people back home who might not really, be on the same page or understand, and then you're voicing this frustration, and then you've got them going, well, then why did you do it? You
or
signed
I told
up
you
for
so.
it. Exactly.
Yeah,
you signed up for it.
Yeah.
So you have to feel like you can communicate those frustrations to people.
That's right. Otherwise, you're all alone.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that we do well as military families is we isolate ourselves because we tend to depend only on ourselves from going from one place to the other. And single soldiers do that too.
Yeah.
They depend only on themselves because they've experienced something bad in the past, or they feel like they're the only ones that can please themselves, or they're the
When
only
you
ones.
say we do that well, you're not saying we should do that, but we've gotten good at doing that.
Yeah, it's a habit for
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
and it's harder to break habits than it is to change things and do them well.
Yes.
And there's a difference in commiserating, getting together to complain,
Right.
and just kind of getting off your chest for somebody who understands, so that you can get through it. Yeah. If you commiserate, that can go on forever.
Right.
And it's like my friends and all, we have all kinds of outlets, and we have all kinds of places that we can go and things we can find out about, because this person over here has that link, and this person over here has that piece of information, and this person over here has already been through this thing and can tell us what to do. And together we can move over the mountain rather than sitting right there and saying, poor pitiful me, nobody likes me, I'll just go eat worms.
Right. Feeling sorry for yourself. That's a good point. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. And remember, the phone lines are open. You can always give us a call if you'd like to contribute a little bit to our conversation, ask a question, any of those kinds of things. Just give us a call, 764-5667. Your weather is coming up next. That's Gavin DeGraw with I Don't Want to Be. It's 9:26. You're listening to AFN Daegu the Eagle. And we are back with Chaplain Dillard and Lauren. And we've been talking about, feeling like, and it does happen when the military sort of feels like it's starting to intrude on your own personal life, and how it's okay to be frustrated with that. It's okay. It doesn't,
It's natural.
It's natural. So our next step in our conversation then is, what do we do?
Yeah.
How do we deal with this?
How do you respond?
How do we respond?
Because it's going to happen. You're going to get pulled into duty at the last minute.
Yeah.
You're going to have an extra exercise. You're going to have to go in early or cancel a date or something with your spouse.
Well, one of the ways you can respond is not to be so reactive to whatever happens, but if you are proactive, doing some planning before, maybe finding some plans that you can enact at any time that you can have to the side, or planning that this may come up because you've had the experience, or someone else can do. After action reports are good for things like this because then you know what to expect, then you know what's coming up, and you can adjust to some things after you've had some proactive planning so that your reactive feelings don't start to take over.
When you say an after action report, you mean like sitting down as a family and saying, okay, how do we do this well? How do we not do it well? How should we do it next time?
Yeah.
Or we went through this last year. What did we see happening last year? There was this festival, or this exercise, or whatever it was came up last year. What were some of the things that we experienced as a family around it? Or the soldiers can talk amongst each other, or the after action reports that they have to do for the military are very helpful in that way too.
And I would add too, it's have one with yourself. I mean, have your own little conversation with yourself and go, okay, well, that didn't go so well. Okay, I obviously didn't handle that well. Let's be aware of the fact that it's going to happen again. So rather than going, like you said, and commiserating with my buddies and just complaining all the time, take stock in yourself and how you reacted. And
That's
make
a hard
plan.
thing to do because our society kind of says, be the man or be the woman.
Right.
You are your person. You should get everything right. This is your world. But we've got to learn to change and adapt and grow in our world too.
Yeah.
You mentioned doing an AAR, after action report. What went well? What didn't go well? What can we do different next time? Last year I was on night shift at one of the exercises, and I would come home every morning as my kids were going to school, and then I'd have maybe an hour with them before I had to go back in at night. And I was so frustrated that here I am right beside my kids and I can't see them. And I was just bitter the whole time. But this next time that I was on night shift, I remembered how much they did for me, that they were so concerned that I get my sleep. And rather than thinking, I can't do this for them, I can't do that for them, I began to enjoy how much they were caring for me. I saw it in a different way, and it really helped me to have a better exercise because I saw it from a different perspective, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even as you walk through the commissary parking lot with your kids, you can say, look, Daddy's over there practicing in case we ever have to go to war, in case he has to defend our country. And look at all the cool barbed wire. Don't touch it. That's really sharp.
But bring them in and make them a part of it.
Yeah, make them a part of it. Yeah, not into the concertina wire.
Well,
but,
right,
yeah.
of course.
But
turn it
you-
into something good.
Yeah.
But you are a part of the military. It's not like you can just shake it off and walk away.
Right. That's
You know, this is where your life is. It's,
Yeah.
You know, you can't just, like the civilians in the U.S., you can't just pick up and take a day off and go down the lake. You
Yeah.
know, it's different culture here, and if you want to go to some special place in America, you got to get a plane ticket, and that's, you lose time doing that, and so it's not easy. So the perspective is another king in how to play that game.
Yeah.
And to use the moments that you have. Don't wait to always have fun tomorrow or next week. If you want to spend time with your kids or your boyfriend or your spouse or whoever, do it right now,
That's a great point, actually.
because you don't know what's going to happen next week, next month.
Exactly. Something might pop up that changes your plans and everything. And that's a good point. And I would say that, too, from a single soldier perspective. You know, sometimes my husband calls me from the States. I'm like, look, I'm doing this right now. I can't talk to you. I need to call you later.
Yeah.
But actually, I have to remind myself, like, no, take the time right now. You
Yeah.
have 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's right now is the most important
That's
part.
right.
That's a good point.
And plans are important. We need
Yeah.
to plan, but you need to have a plan B and C and D
Yeah.
and be able to flex in the moment. Otherwise, you're always waiting to be happy later.
And I think
Wow,
having the
yeah.
plans opens up your mind and heart to, hey, there's more than one way to do stuff.
Yeah.
And you can, the anxiety is not as much, I think, when you see, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, this might work out. And,
Right.
and gosh, I don't want to go in today, but I got to.
Right.
Well, we'll just
Yeah.
do something different later.
You got that 24-hour staff duty or CQ. You know, take in a college course book that you've been behind on, or a movie you haven't seen, or whatever. Find some way to enjoy that time and make it beneficial.
That's a good point. Wow, you know what? And I'm sorry, I'm still sort of shocked because what you said really hit home with me about the planning and making time for yourself now, and I'm still going back to that. So that's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. As always, appreciate it. Any final thoughts on our topic today?
Change is going to happen. It's how we respond to it that counts. And if you can look at it like a detour on a road, can't go this way, but that means there are other options provided. Look at what you can do. Plan, but be willing to flex.
That's good stuff. All right. Well, thanks as always for stopping by, and I appreciate it. And they are back every Tuesday, so keep it right here on the Eagle and hear more from the chaplain and his lovely wife, Lauren. Thank you so much, and keep it right here. More music coming up. Here is Jennifer Lopez and Pitbull with On the Floor. AFN Daegu, the Eagle.